Hi, I'm Mrs. McTaggart. In this video we're going to be looking at straight line and the topic of rearranging the equation to be able to find the gradient and y-intercept. Ideally you should be able to just read this off, and you can only do it if it's in a certain format. So already prior to this video you should be familiar with the general equation of a straight line, what it looks like and what the numbers represent. So the general equation of a straight line is this blue equation here, y equals mx plus c. M stands for the gradient and c is your y-intercept, which is where it cuts the y-axis. So wherever your line cuts, that is like your c value there. So from reading this, m stands for gradient, and the gradient is the number in front of the x. So in this question you would just write down that the gradient equals -4 and the y-intercept as a coordinate would be along 0 up 4, sorry, 0, 3, because your c value is c. But what happens if you're presented with this question and it's not in that format? It's a major part of higher, and it's in just about every single National 5 Pass paper, masquerading really as another change of subject question. So let's have a look at what I'm talking about. So I've got a couple of examples. For each of these we are just asked to write down the gradient and the y-intercept. So spot this is not in the form y equals mx plus c, purely because there is a 3 in front of the y. So all we do is change the subject to get rid of that. Now, in normal change of subject, you might be in the habit of then going, oh, let's just divide everything by 3 and writing that all over 3, because obviously y is being multiplied by 3, the opposite is to divide. And in just a standalone change of subject question, that would be fine, it'd be okay to leave your answer like that. But to be able to get the gradient and the y-intercept, we actually need to divide each thing individually by 3. Now, sometimes both things divide by 3, sometimes they don't. So instead of writing it all over 3, we can write each individual thing over 3. So we can write that as 2/3 because that doesn't divide, and we can do 6 divided by 3, and that simplifies down to 2/3 x, and 6 over 3 is just 2. Now it is in the correct format. Now it is in the form y equals mx plus c. So your gradient is what's in front of the x, so your gradient is 2/3. Please do not do this. Do not write 2/3 x. That's a really common exam mistake. That's really bad form and you don't get the mark, I'm afraid. The gradient has got a numerical answer, so it's just 2/3. And the y-intercept is the number at the end, your c value. So as a coordinate, that would be along 0 up 2. And that's what they're looking for in this question, and it's worth 3 marks. And generally, it's not always that well done, surprisingly, but you need to be able to do it higher, like really quickly all the time. Now, ideally, yeah, it would be lovely if all you had to do was divide by 3, but there's a bit more to it than that. So let's look at example 2. Example 2, we've got the x over with the y, so we need to deal with that first, and then we can deal with the 4. So remember in algebra you would take away x from each side to eliminate that x, or you might have been taught that plus x becomes a minus x when you change it to the other side. Either way, my next line is going to be 4y equals. Now you've got 2 options here. You can either write it as 12, take away x, which is what you're probably used to with change of subject, or if you strictly want it in the form y equals mx plus c, you could make it -x plus 12. I'm very much in the habit of just always doing it how we've been doing it with change of subject, and the 12 was there first, so I would probably write it as 12 take away x. Then we divide everything by 4, so 12 divided by 4 is just 3. Remember there's a secret number 1 in front of the x here, we don't always write it, it's hidden. So that would just become take away 1 over 4x. And from there your gradient is whatever's in front of the x, so your gradient is -1/4. And your y-intercept is a numerical part, so just say 0, 3. So as I said, if you want, you could write that as -x plus 12, and then that would become y equals -1/4 x plus 3. It's kind of up to you which one you do. And obviously the one on the right is the actual layout of y equals mx plus c, but we should be able to look at this style and still recognise m is what's in front of the x. Let's look at a third one. Okay, this one has got 2 things on the wrong side. I need to move the x and the -20. So I'm going to take away 2x and I'm going to add 20 to the other side. So this will become 5y equals, because I'm moving both things, 0 doesn't really count over there. So this will become -2x and this will become +20. And at this point you should be comfortable with whichever rearrangement method you do, whether it's balancing or change sides. Now we need to undo the times by 5, so we're going to divide each thing by 5. Remember, if it doesn't divide, you leave it as a fraction. So we've got 2/5 of x plus 20 divided by 5, which is 4. So the gradient is the value in front of the x, which is negative 2/5. And your y-intercept is the number, the c value of 0, 4. Okay, let's do one more. This one hasn't come up in a while. It's a wee bit trickier because we have a negative 4y. So you've got two options. We can move the 3x, or I really like to make the subject positive. So what I'm going to do is add 4y to each side. So I'm going to have 3x equals 12 plus 4y. And that way my 4y has been kept positive. Then I'm going to subtract x, so I've got 3x minus 12 equals 4y. And if you want to spin that around, you don't have to, but I'm going to do it anyway. So 3x minus 12, and then we would divide by 4. 3 doesn't divide by 4, so it gets left as 3 over 4. The 12 divides by 4 though and gives me 3. So my gradient here turns out to be 3/4, and your y-intercept is 0, negative 3. Alright. So that's the type of questions you'll have. That's probably the hardest one. If you don't take the negative positive, let me just show you what happens. So if you don't make that positive, you have negative 4y equals 12 minus 3x. You then have to divide by a negative 4, and you might end up messing up your signs, but 12 divided by negative 4 would be negative 3. A negative divided by a negative, are you going to remember that? Would turn into plus 3/4. So it does just give you the same answer, but I do definitely prefer making your y positive first of all. So if you want to practice these, there's 9 examples here. If you pause the video, you can have a wee look. And when you unpause the video, your answers will appear. There you are, there are your answers. I really hope this has helped. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.